We continue in our amazing opportunity to practice the principles of the science of mind and spirit, joining in with our universal, our international community as we move through this month dedicated and committed to loving kindness and forgiveness. And in this particular lesson, we are asked to look at the possibility of seeing a world of peace and harmony, connectedness and justice. And that's what our topic for today is. That's what our homework for the week is, to deepen that awareness. And oh my, are we given every opportunity to be open and receptive and to practice the principles of our teaching. And so we find ourselves yet again in a week full of all kinds of truculence and turbulence, and all kinds of sadness and woundedness and death and loss and grief. And it is given to us to know what to do with that, and how to be with that, and how to handle that. And so, of course, added to that today, we have the added tragedy in Louisiana, in Baton Rouge actually, of police officers being gunned down. The last report was 3 dead and 4 seriously wounded. The gentleman was seen walking along the freeway carrying a rifle, reported to the police, and when they came out. And the last I heard of it, which was before the 9 o'clock service, was that it was still a scene that's in action. And so we have, as well as that, what happened in France, and we have also what happened in Turkey. And that's just what we know. These things are multiplied and they're happening all over the world. There's not a day that goes by but families mourn the loss of their children and mourn the loss of their loved ones all over the world. And of course, it is given to us, as I was sharing this morning, to be okay with grieving and mourning and be sad and shed tears, because the human spirit of us will do that. The human heart will ache, and the human mind will be unsettled by all of this. And so yes, like Rachel of old, and like the Amish families not too long ago, and like the families in France and in America and all over the world who cry out for their children, we too know what that is like, and we are empathetic with that. And our hearts are sore, and our hearts are sad, and our minds are uneasy, humanly speaking. And that's okay for us to be in that state. And we do not have to put on a front and pretend that we're not affected by it. We are. And so together we mourn. But then together we come to resolve too. So while it is given to us and our human hearts to howl at the moon and to question and to wonder what it's all about, at the same time, below that is the constant and the steady and the unified self of ourselves that knows that somehow or another good comes out of all of this. So will we weep, and will we cry, and will we mourn? Yes, we will. Will we feel the blood coursing through our veins, wanting to rise up in annoyance at the very least, and in anger at the other end of that? Yes, we will. Will we feel the need of our fists clenching and rising up and shaking like weapons in the air. Yes, we will. What then will we do? Will we respond by allowing our hearts to grow cold, our faith to weaken? Will we allow our spirits to be depleted? No, we won't. We will not. We will not. We will not. What we will do is stand in solidarity. What we will do when we've dried our tears and each other's tears, we will stand strong and we will lean into the wind, and we will know that good and love and kindness always overcomes, and they are the only things that overcome. Nothing else overcomes. And to know this is to be in the process of overcoming already. That's what we will do. Ernest Holmes has suggested over and over again to us that we cannot be born of spirit unless we do the will of spirit. And the will of spirit, he says, is goodness and peace and mercy and justice and truth. All bundled up, of course, in love, unconditioned and unconditional. And that's what we're called to in this day, in this time, in this coming week. To stand strong in that awareness that we are one mind, one heart, one body, and one soul. To know this, Ernest Holmes says, is to be in the consciousness, the unified consciousness of the divine. And so there is no opportunity for us as soul-filled people, as conscious people, to feel anything or do anything or be anything other than the change that the world needs us to be now, the love that the world needs us to be now, the peace that the world needs us to be now, the goodness that the world needs us to be now. And if that means that as the builders of bridges to peace, you and I have to bend our own backs and become the living bridge over which lives will pass into that embracing of unity, harmony, oneness, and peace. Yes, my dear ones, we may have to bend our backs, but we will remain unbowed as we're doing it. We will not yield to violence, because we know that in violence we forget ourselves, who we are, what we are, and whose we are. And it will not be that we will do this. We will not yield, for we know there is that power. We know there is that presence. We know there is that divine design that leads us all eventually in the ripeness of each one's time into that unified state of being, where that becomes the natural and the normal for us to live from, to think from, to feel from, and to be in. And that is indicated in everything we think and we say and we are. That's the calling for us now, and we're equal to it, or we would not be in this room. That is the calling, and we are equal to it, or we would not be in this room. You and I knew what we were getting into when we volunteered to come in at this time. We said, we'll go, we'll be the vanguard, we'll be the frontliners. We will go. Well, we're here and we're in it and it's happening. And the turbulence and the truculence is just indicating a new birth is on its way. And you and I are the midwives of that, whether we truly realize it or not. We are here to facilitate it, not to add to the confusion that's here already. So you and I have to roll up our sleeves now and truly begin to apply the principles that we have been given to safeguard, to embody, and to live from. And so what can these principles do for us? What are they calling us to at the moment? We are called to grow empathetic ears, to become radical listeners, so that when anybody leaves us, they have felt that they have been seen and heard. We are called to learn and explore other cultures, diversity, to jump into the pool of diversity and get to see ourselves and know ourselves in the other that is me anyway. We are called to release and let go of all of our prejudices and judgments and nonsense. We are called to forgive that terrible sense of thinking and feeling that we know the one right way, the one right idea, the one right answer, the one right concept. To forgive ourselves our adherence to that and other things too, known individually to us all, whatever those things are. We are called now to join with like-minded people under a common cause, to multiply the good in the world, to be a force for good in the world. Where 2 or 3 are gathered, there's more power than one, in the sense that the one power is multiplied in each and every one of us, coalescing into this mighty force that makes the difference. It doesn't surprise me that we don't have a Gandhi or a Nelson Mandela or a Mother Teresa or any of these great ones who showed us how to be peace in the world at the moment. It doesn't surprise me, because we're the ones that have been called to fill in the gap, to take their place, to pick up their torch, and to make sure it gets carried on. But we do still have great good people like the Dalai Lama, like Archbishop Tutu, and all these wonderful people that are making the difference in the world, that have bent their backs and have become the bridge to peace. That lovely young girl in Pakistan. And many more. We're also mourning for the people today in Rumi's wonderful resting place, Turkey. We are in solidarity with them, the ones that want liberty and freedom for all, and a democracy that works for all. We need to keep them closely in our prayers, because things are changing there, and not for the better. Democracy is being eroded. People's rights are being taken away. Women who used to be able to have a higher education can go no higher than the 3rd grade now. And so on, and so on, and so on. We're the ones, we're the vanguard, we're the peace bridges. We have to make the difference. What can I do, you will say? I'm not in Turkey. I'm not here, there, yon. I'm here. You can do everything by being the change, being the peace where you are. Sometimes people find it easier to pick up a banner and get out there and march for a cause and have their voices being heard than it is to be goodness and kindness and compassion under their own roofs. There's where it begins. As I said last week, first and foremostly under the roof of your own head and under the roof of your home and in the workplaces and on the freeways and in the supermarkets. Everywhere you are, you always have an opportunity to be the peace and the change that the world needs you to be today. And we are mighty and we are strong and we are unstoppable when we embody the principles that we have been given. 1, 1, 1, shouts Ernest Holmes. Recognition, 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 shouts Troward. Personal responsibility, personal responsibility, personal responsibility, shouts Emerson when he says, insist upon yourself. He means your great self. And we can. We certainly can. It is ours to be everything we're created to be and then some. And when I look out at you all, I am comforted. I feel good. My faith grows and deepens. Because here you are on this Sunday morning in this sacred holy ground of a room. Because you get it. Because you're hearing and listening and responding to that inkling within you that wants to express itself through you and you alone, you. And you're not sitting back and leaving it to every other person around you. But you know there is a pulling on you to step up, to bend your back, to be that bridge. And you know you have the strength within you to be that. You know that. There is a knower in you that knows that, even though we may try to ignore it at times, and we do. But it will not give us one moment's peace. It will not let us be. It will not let us go until we have come to ourselves, found and remembered ourselves, and become the grace and the glory of God alive here and now. The splendor of it, the wonder of it, the beauty of it, the terrible beauty of it, the magnificence of it, all within you, burning in your heart, core being, on fire with power and passion and ability. Regardless of what you came in here feeling like, regardless of whether or not you cried yourself to sleep last night because it's all just too much, regardless of your difficult circumstances and situations, the fire is burning, raging brightly within you, saying, wake up, wake up, wake up. This is not who you are. These are not your truths. You are so much more, so much more. And the world needs you to be that now. All that you can be, the world needs you to be right now. Because you can. Because you are empowered. Because you are graced and you are blessed. and you are given to, and you are provided for, and you are loved, and you are cherished. I asked myself this morning, how cherished was that man who picked up his rifle this morning to go kill and create loss? Did anybody ever tell him how magnificent he was and the wonder that was within him? Did anybody touch him, listen to him, see him, recognize him, receive him? I wonder. And the teaching is love one another as you have first been loved, and love all of life. Love your enemy. Do good to those who hate you and persecute you and despitefully use you. Love them. Well, yes, the ego says, in a pig's eye I will. That's what the ego says. And yet the Spirit knows, of course I will. Of course I can. Because I am not me. I am myself. Great self. So yes, I'm confident. I am deeper in faith than ever before that whatever we are here for, we get, and we are in our world making the difference. And remember, the quantum number that is required for change to occur in all of life could be very, very smaller than you and I might imagine. And you could be the last person in that number to shift the whole thing. You could be the one. Why not you? Why not you? So let us lift up our spirits now, and let us look out there and be undaunted as we face into all of the media that's going to shower us with all of the wrongness that's in the world, and let us say, but I know the truth. And this is not the truth that I know. And the truth is greater and more awesomely powerful than anything I can be seeing and looking at out there. Hallelujah. And I will bless, and I will bless, and I will bless all of life. And in that blessing, no, empowerment is occurring, and minds are changing, and hearts are changing, and lives are turning around. And life is getting better for all as I bless, and I bless, and I bless, because blessing is the sending out of the life and the light and the power of Spirit. Yes. That's what blessing is. So I will bless. And I will say, you will too, and so it is.